If you knew me before, you wouldn't even look my way. If I had the nerve to speak, you wouldn't hear what I say. Time has come and gone so fast, we're not who we used to be.
All right. And welcome back to Sullivan's Unheard Voices. I'm here with Geminii Dragon. I have to say, I am a huge fan of your music. The first time I listened to it, I was like blown away because it's like so unique and so unlike anything I have ever heard. Like, how did you sort of get this concept of Geminii Dragon and the sound that you've got going on?
It's just what naturally comes out of us. I'm sure you're aware my husband writes the instrumentation and majority of the lyrics, and I kind of help out a little bit with that. But that's just what naturally comes out of us, you know. I can't do it any other way.
How did you get started in? That's fair. How did you get started in music in the first place?
I come from a musical family. I know it's cliche. My grandfather played guitar and sang in the church. I grew up singing in church. My uncle still plays for the church I grew up in. So but my family sings and plays instruments, and that's just what's been around my entire life.
Do you remember the first instrument you picked up?
I actually played trumpet all throughout middle school, high school, and college. Yep, I was first chair trumpet. I marched at LSU. So that was my first instrument.
That's so awesome.
Yep. I picked up.
Do you remember the first sort of song that you?
Go ahead.
Do you remember the first song that you sort of played?
The first trumpet. I do not. So I was in marching band. So
that's fine.
I do not. No, I do recall.
But then you picked up guitar along the way.
Yeah, I picked up guitar when I was in my early 20s because I was doing a lot of like open mic nights and that kind of thing, and I wanted something to accompany myself with. So I taught myself to play, and well enough to be able to sing too, And I did that for a good bit of time. Yeah.
And what point did you realize that you could actually sing? Because it's one of those things. It's like some people know, like when they were kids. Other people, it's like when I was 14, I just tried one time. Like, did you always know that you could sort of sing in the range that you sing now?
I have always thought that I could not sing. I still
Interesting.
Wrestle with that because I grew up around a lot of like singers, like people that can blow roofs off, So I never thought I could sing. I do what I can do, and I use my voice as much as I can use it, and that's just what I do. I love doing it, and so maybe that's what comes across. Like I love singing. It's my most favorite thing to do,
And then how about you? How'd you figure out the sound that you have now?
I really think it's just time. I think it's just time. Like if you were here, if you were to hear my voice like a decade ago, it's a completely different voice. But just time and going through things and, singing with cover bands and all this kind of stuff, and stretching yourself out, you eventually hone in on what you can and can't do and what feel good and what don't feel good.
And then one of the things I always talk to musicians about, especially in terms of like the musicality of things and like creating the music, is the fact that I think that the muse is like a living, breathing thing. Mm-hmm. What do you do when the muse visits you? Do you have like a recording thing on your phone? Do you like write things down? Like whenever you get like a song idea?
I actually have notebooks and notebooks of lyrics. I have old phones with recordings on that I just can't throw away or get rid of because I got music on it. I may be able to use that one day, like hooks and beginnings of verses and stuff. So whatever I have. There was a point in my life where I would write every day, at least one song a day. So I have a notebook that has just like napkins and pieces of paper and Just whatever was around whenever something was coming to me. Yeah.
And do you revisit those from time to time?
I do. Not as much as I used to at one time, but I do. Like every once in a while I get nostalgic and want to go back and, look at something, listen to something, because it's like timestamps, in your life. The things you were thinking about and what made you decide to write or to put down what you put down. It's like going back through memory lane or walking down memory lane a little bit.
And then in terms of like your creativity and like the recording process for you and Gemini Dragon as an entity, because it's just you as a singer as Gemini Dragon, but then it's also more than that because you have every piece that comes around that supports you. How important is that supportive piece or that band piece surrounding you to sort of make music?
Extremely supportive. I think I'm the least important piece. If I'm being honest, I'm the least important piece. I think the instrumentation, is way more important. And then the hands that are behind the scenes, kind of pushing things forward, are way more important because everybody there's singers everywhere. And like I said, I come from a family of extremely talented people that's singing, but they're not pursuing it, as a form of employment or whatnot. So I think everything else is more important to me, in my opinion, than what I'm doing. Like I'm pretty much like I just doing what I like to do, and I'm blessed to be able to do it on stages where other people can see it and enjoy it too.
And at the same time, though, I don't want you to sell yourself short, right? Because you're an integral piece of this artistry it's a required component. And without your voice that lends to the instrumentality, I don't think it would be the same.
Well, you may be right. You might be right.
Mm-hmm. But in terms of like the performance piece, right? Because one of the things that I'm always fascinated by is because the reality is if you're into music and you're into creating music, you're not in it for the money, right? It's not one of those things where music is hopefully enough to pay your bills. But the reality is so few artists now find that path to huge success. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I love talking to musicians is like, what's the passion about? Like, what is it about music that fills your soul?
It just for me, like there's no feeling like being on stage and everything is right. Like you're singing well, the instrumentation behind you, they doing the thing. There's no other feeling that can compare to that feeling. And then for myself, like I have a whole other life outside of the stage. I'm a mother, and I've lived this life that was not perfect by any means. So when I get on stage, I get to be the person I felt like I would have been had, other things in life not drawn me away from it for so long. So it's like I get to be me for 90 minutes or whatever, like my true self.
And then, so take us through that live performance piece, right? So what is it about being on stage that you enjoy most?
Everything, being able to dance freely, being able to speak being able to speak to the audience and not have that fear of rejection or you know how the world is. People like to silence you, but on stage, there's nobody to silence you. You can say what you want to say, and 9 times out of 10, people are receptive to what you're saying, and they understand where you come from with it, and you can connect with a person you had never met before, and may never ever meet again. For a moment, based upon that thing you said. And then being able to sing and just I'm going to get fussed at for saying this, but everything is energy. So I'm speaking and I'm singing, and so that energy is leaving me, going to the audience, and they're sending it back to me. That's flowing through me. And then the music and the waves and the energy from the music is flowing through. It's like just this, like a tornado of emotions and feelings and energy just being, thrown about and passing through you all at one time. It's like a drug almost. One you can't, one that won't hurt you.
Right? So, how important is the audience vibe to your shows?
You know what? Initially, when I first started performing live, it was extremely important. Like I would be, because I would be, any little small inkling of a person expression that didn't seem like they were really into what was going on would have a negative effect on what I was doing. When I first started. Now I can recognize it and still, move past it, because you don't really know what a person is thinking anyway. That's usually your own feelings. You know, shaping what you're seeing, but that may not even be what's going on through that person's head. So right now, if the energy is what it should be and everybody is enjoying what's happening and having a good time, I can feed off of that, and it'll make the show, make me even more excited. But even if they're not, I'm still going to be excited because I'm on stage doing what I want to do. You know, so that's where I'm at this point. No matter what's going on in front of me, I'm still going to have a good time, and I hope that my having a good time is going to pass on to the people in front of me, and then they're going to, pick that vibe up and start jamming with me.
And I love that part of it, right? Like one of the things that I love about live music in general is when you can see that shift. Like, cause like there's a few artists that I know where like they'll play a place cold and you can tell when they first start that the audience is sort of half-heartedly paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one song or one lyric or one sound and you can see that shift in the audience of like, oh, I should probably pay attention.
Exactly.
And that's like my favorite moment to watch from the fans' perspective.
Yes.
Do you usually come with like a set list or like do you usually come with like a set list or like an idea of what you're going to play when you're putting on shows?
Oh yeah. We always have a set list. We may not always stick to the exact order, because you got to feel off the crowd. But we always do have a list of songs that we plan on doing. Usually more than what we have time to do, just in case.
And that's kind of why I bring it up, right? But it's because like I'm always fascinated with that concept of sometimes you have to pivot on stage. Mm-hmm. So is there something like that you see in stage that'll tell you like to switch songs or to switch up the set list?
I guess the energy of the crowd. Like, if the crowd isn't moving, you don't want to keep on playing, repeated slower songs, if that's what the set list had it, doing. But you got to see what's going on. And if you need to try to pep them up, then you can skip around and play a song is going to get the crowd kind of hyped, because you're there to make the people feel good. And if they're not feeling good, then you're not really serving the purpose.
And then also that part that comes to that piece, that comes sort of along with that too, is that sort of communication between band members. Mm-hmm. Because I'm always fascinated by like how much communication goes on stage without a word being spoken. Is that something that sort of comes to you over time, or is that something that sort of like you kind of keep in the back of your head? Like if I need to get a hold of the bass player, I need to shift myself or something. Am I making sense?
You are making sense. So I think that varies. So in my experience, like if you're playing with professional musicians, they've been doing it so long they kind of already know what the cues are without having it being said, just from knowing their instrument and knowing the other person's instrument, and how you're supposed to fit together, like how your puzzle pieces are supposed to fit together. And then there are situations when you're not playing with, people who are necessarily professional. And then I depend on Christian. And Christian's like directing him with his guitar in his head. And he's like, come on, time for the bridge, Then that happens. So it just depends. It depends on who you're with.
Yeah, because I like to think of it as like, and I've said this ad nauseum on this podcast already, but it's like, I do think in terms of music in itself, it's almost like a mini miracle on stage. Mm-hmm. If you think about just how complex people are and now you've got 5 people with different instruments, all of them in unison for the 5 to 10 minutes between a song. And it's kind of like a mini miracle on stage, and I love it. Take me through like your creative process though. Like, so when you're starting to sort of like record in the studio, cause you've got an album coming up, do you record like together playing, or do you like prefer to like record on separate tracks and then sort of mixing it together?
Okay, so in our situation, usually what happens, Christian is genius. All the instrumentation he creates himself, and he plays it himself. Now, sometimes what he'll do is he'll send it to somebody else and have them replay it, and then that's what we have on the final version. And then sometimes what he played is what's on the album. you know, even drums, like that's usually just him putting that all together. He's really a extremely talented person. And then I come in and I sing. That's why I say I'm the least important person in the whole mix. you know, like I know that the voice was there before there was an instrument, but the music around the voice, you need that to make it a actual song, a full song, by modern days terms. So that's it. I come in and I sing.
And do you sort of like,
Go ahead.
I was sorry. I was just going to ask, do you formulate the lyrics behind the music based on like the musicality?
So sometimes all I'm doing is matching what Christian put down. If I'm writing something and there's nothing that's been written to it prior to me receiving it, I gotta listen to it, and then whatever comes to my head is what happens. Now, I'm not sure if that makes sense. Like I'm not, I for the longest time I
It sure
refused
does.
to write to genres. For the longest time, I still don't write to a genre. I just write. So whatever comes to me, based upon what I'm hearing, is what I put down. You know. Whereas I know Christian, he's specific that this is this particular genre, so I'm going to write a certain way because of what kind of song it is. And sometimes what I do work, and sometimes it don't. But pretty much whatever comes to me is what I put down on paper. Whatever I hear, I listen to the song.
And the sound that Christian can come up with is just amazing. Like there'll be a few times where you hear an intro to the song and then it kind of takes a left-hand turn and it's like, oh, I didn't see that change in beat percussion happening. Is that something that he's always sort of had a talent in, or is that something he's sort of honed in over the years?
As far as I know, that's how he's always been. As far from knowing him, the amount of time I've known him, and he's been in the industry for a long time, and he can write damn near anything, like any genre of music. He can write a song to it. But that's just, I guess, how his mind works. Some people are just in tune and they've studied enough to where they can just let it rip. You know. hmm
And something else I'm kind of curious about, because like the music scene in Portland is unlike any other music scenes that I've sort of experienced. I'm curious if the music scene where you're at is as supportive and encouraging to other artists as it is here in Portland.
I'm gonna say no. No, it is not. Now
Oh no.
I live in Thibodeau. So I live like southwest of New Orleans. So I'm not actually in New Orleans. But in my little city of Thibodeau, no, they're not. But it's okay. It's all right. I go out and I get the love I need, from people like you, and when I leave the city. And that's good enough for me.
And then, and you, do you play a lot in New Orleans?
No, we do not. No. I think the whole time that we've been doing it together, we've only played one place, Bambusa, and I can't remember the name, but it started B.
Okay.
Yeah, but New Orleans is a tourist city, so you're not going to really make a lot of money unless you're like a really really big name coming into town.
Oh.
You know, you know. So if you're a musician in New
That's
Orleans trying to make a
fascinating. I didn't
living,
even think about it.
you're not making a lot of money because there's so many musicians, and the clubs know that the people are going to be there and that you need to make some money, so they're not going to offer you a whole lot because there's going to be somebody else behind you that'll take the gig for less, you know. So
So it has that sort of competitive edge there. It's sort of like the Seattle scene where there's just not enough venues, and if you're not, you get big dogged all the time, if you will.
Yep.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Well, it is what
But
it
in
is.
terms of like shows, though, one of the things I've also noticed over the last year or so is that people are starting to sort of come back. Like I know COVID really messed a lot of musicians up in terms of like attendance and all of that stuff. Are you seeing the sort of same thing where you're at, where the crowds are starting to finally return?
I think so. I think so. Um, I don't think I would be a good judge of that just because I'm starting out. I'm a smaller artist, but just looking at the shows that the people in attendance from when I first started to my most recent appearances, yes, there is a difference that I can see. Yeah, there's a difference in number and a difference
And then
in
in terms of like,
participation as well.
I'm so glad to hear that, right? Because like the audience participation is so vital to the success of music.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
And then in terms of like preparation for like a live performance, like, cause one of the things I'm always fascinated is how musicians sort of tend to sort of prepare or gear up. Do you have a tendency to sort of like visit the venue beforehand just to get a lay of the land? Or is there times where you just show up and like it is whatever it's going to be?
At this stage in the career, it is showing up and seeing what it is that day. You know, because I'm traveling from Louisiana to where I'm going, so there's no going beforehand to see. Sometimes Christian may have already been there and he knows what the setup is, but usually it's us going in there and seeing what it is and just doing what we've got to do with what they have, or with what the setup is, you know.
And then in terms of like a musician's point of view, though, would there be something you wish there could be at every venue when you showed up that would just make your life as a musician easier?
A sound person, at every because there's not always a sound person, and that can make or break the show, you know. Having somebody in the audience who can kind of adjust what's happening and make sure everything is at the right level and that kind of thing. And even if there's no sound person but there is like a PA setup, I may not know how to use your PA, to the best of its ability. So a sound person is something that I wish that I can't wait till I'm at the point where I have my own. You know. And I have a weird voice. Like I
Even
have a
so, though,
lower
like,
voice. So it's sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it gets kind of dicey with the mic, the amplification.
especially in certain venues, if they're not having like any acoustical attention or if they haven't done anything to sort of help with the sound, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting piece, though, to that, though, is like, if you think about a venue, the venue should be the person that knows the acoustics and knows the musicality of their venue the most.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been so many times where I've seen venues leave it up to the musicians to sort of figure everything out, where if they could just spend like 10, 15 minutes just knowing what their venue is, knowing what their sound quality is, and then helping the band when they get there to let them know what their sound quality and sound environment is,
Mm-hmm.
which just goes so far to helping people. But it seems like a lot of venues don't take that extra step, and I've always never understood that.
I don't know. I guess maybe they assume because you are a musician that you can just figure it out. Maybe that's what it is. Or maybe they don't know. They may not know what's going on.
I think that's a part of it too, right? I think it's a little bit of both, right? People assume that musicians have a lot more power in a venue than possible, because if your venue's acoustics are off or your venue's music piece is off, even the best band can come through and they can't really fix it. But if you as a venue could just spend some time, like invite a band, have them on the stage and just play and just adjust and ask your band what you could use to make the sound better. It will not only work better for your band that comes to play, it'll work better for your venue too.
Yeah. Yep. And the people will be more enthusiastic about coming there when there's bands. Um, so Christian is asking, would you be okay if I call Linwood and like maybe have him and you on speaker? Would that
By all
work?
means.
Well, let's try that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
I don't
take
see
my
why
earbud
not.
out.
Yeah. And we're back. Thank you so much. We took a little bit of a break because we wanted to get Linwood on here as well. Linwood, thank you so much for joining us as being a part of this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your history in music?
Yeah, centuries old. Anyway, no, I've been playing music since I was 50 years old, and I've managed to travel around the world under my own name and backing other famous musicians. Joe Louis Walker, for one. What else? But yeah, I do my thing. I've played everything from reggae to rock, fusion, all types of things, rock and roll. Played who was Chuck Berry's piano player for years and years. What else?
And do you remember the first instrument you picked up?
It was accordion, and some guy came door to door selling accordion lessons, and my parents bought it. If I had known about Zydeco, I might still be playing.
That's fair. Uh-huh. And so how did you transition from accordion to other instruments?
Well, I only play guitar. That's all I wanted to play ever anyway. And basically, my parents bought me an acoustic. And that's not what I was interested in. I wasn't a kumbaya guy. And then, we mowed lawns and washed cars until I got my electric guitar. And that's about it. I've been playing electric ever since. After seeing Jimi Hendrix.
Dude. After seeing Jimi Hendrix? That's awesome. Do you remember the first guitar you picked up?
Well, I still have it. It's the one I bought was a Fender Bronco, which I still have.
A Fender Bronco, that's awesome. And so, how did you get get affiliated with Geminii?
Well, they reached out to me, and we have Bad Brains connection. If you're not familiar, Bad Brains is like a DC punk rock / reggae band, and Kristen, Dr. Nelson, who's the guitar player. And I recorded on the first HR album, which is HR was the lead singer for the Bad Brains. So there's a connection.
That's awesome. All right, so I could barely hear you right now. Let me try something real quick. And welcome back. We're going to try this again one more time because I think we got everything dialed in. Linwood, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear Linwood okay, Geminii?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So, Linwood, you were talking about how you transitioned from the accordion to the guitar. Was there? Did you learn enough from the accordion to help you learn the guitar?
Absolutely not.
I kind of figured.
Absolutely not. As I say, sometimes people hear things and a kid around the corner could halfway play and, my parents said, "Oh, well, yeah, that'll be for it." I'm like, no, it's not what I was interested in. And as I say, a door-to-door salesman came and sold them on it. I'm like, yeah,
That's funny.
But no, guitar was always my goal from day one.
And then, so in terms of like your process of like, so one of the things I was talking to Geminii in before you got here was what happens when the muse visits you. Do you like, because I do believe the muse is like a living, breathing thing. So how do you capture moments when the muse visits you with like ideas for music?
Sometimes I record them on like a little, tape recorder, kind of old-fashioned boombox or something. And sometimes I keep playing them so I don't forget them.
Mm-hmm.
Just over and over, so it becomes sort of a muscle memory type of a thing. Sometimes I don't have access to something, so but I do have my guitar, so I just keep playing until I'm I get it I get it firmly under my fingers.
And one of the things that we were talking a little bit also about was like the whole idea or the whole concept of like the stage performance and how important it is for the audience to sort of be involved in the musical piece of it. How do you? What is it about that interaction between music and the audience that you love as an artist?
Well, I would have to say the reaction is immediate. Okay, it's like you're connecting with them or you're not connecting with them, and it's the kind of thing that the more you perform, the more you learn how to read a crowd. That sort of thing, and if they're responding to what you do, then great. You take them higher, like Slaw said. But if they're not, then you got to change your game. Try something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then in terms of like when you try something else, like, is there a moment that you're trying to see sort of like, is there something the audience does that lets you know that they're sort of cueing into your music?
Yes, but there's no one audience is the same. Just like no one performance is the same. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have to, just in a sort of general way, you may have to take them to a quiet spot, or you may have to really hit them over the head with something, or maybe you do something different, or maybe you hit them with something familiar, and then you take it and twist it to the way that you choose to do that particular song.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
I'm sorry?
I love that.
Well, the tricks of the trade that I've learned from the best simply by being a member of the audience or being a member of a backup band, and I watch the pros work,
And one of the things that I love to ask musicians too is why is it so important for a local community to support local musicians?
Well, it's important because I'm a benefactor of that, but it's important because if you like live music, it requires your support. The audience's support. It's just one of those things. It's reciprocal, if you will. You want to enjoy the music, well, then you have to enjoy the music.
And one of the things go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So one of the things and I guess this question would be for you, Gemini, as well. One of the things that I can't stress enough to people listening is why it's so vital for people in the community to go out and listen to local live bands, right? Because Hozier doesn't need my money. Like, I love the fact that people support like all of that stuff. At the same time, like, the bands that need our financial support are the ones that are just starting out, the ones that are sort of finding their groove. And
Yep.
I would argue have just as much of amazing music as some of these nationwide supporters. Like,
Yep.
how important is it as an artist to feel that love from the community?
I think it's extremely important. And as I stated previously, I don't have that where I'm from, if I'm being honest. But that's one of our little slogans, support the artists you know more than the artists you don't know. Yeah, because I'm going to care about you because I know you. Whereas somebody off in the rafters could care 2 cents about you. Yeah.
And how about you?
Me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, I missed part of that. I'm sorry. Well, yeah, I like that idea. Support the artists you know, because if you enjoy them, you gotta support them. This is not kind of like a 9 to 5. This is a lifestyle, if you will.
Yep.
We're practicing all the time and that sort of thing, and trying to create.
Yep. That's right. And that there will be
one of those
no.
things where people, I think, a lot of.
There will be no.
Go ahead, please.
I apologize. Well, I was going to say that there would be no, Rolling Stone or whatever artist you want to name that's name brand, quote unquote. Name brand. They would be no. They would not exist if it weren't for people supporting them when they were first starting out. So if you want to continue having greatness, you have to be there at the onset of the greatness happening. You can't wait till they become great, then decide to get on the bandwagon.
Hey, the Rolling Stones were a local band at one point.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Exactly. And then in terms of like, and because one of the things that I think a lot of people don't understand, and I'm starting to think people are coming around, is music is hard work. It's not like you just pick up a guitar without any practice or without anything and then you're stage ready. It takes months, years, hours, and hours of practice before you get to the point where you're stage ready. And most of those hours aren't paid. And so it's a music is a passion project for most people.
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir.
Well,
Yes.
So how do you keep yourselves going? What is it about music that keeps you pushing and grinding at this stage?
For me, it's just. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Mr. Linwood. Go ahead. I've talked enough.
Go ahead, Gemini.
Oh well, I was just gonna say that like I'm not really quite sure. Like I know I can't not do it. Like I almost don't feel like myself. Like if I haven't done something dealing with music for too many days in a row, even if it's just singing something in the kitchen. Like I have to have music. Like music is what moves me and motivates me. If I'm not feeling the best, I can put a song on and get perked up instantly. And like it's a part of me, and if I don't have it, I don't feel whole. You know.
For me, I just have to do it. I mean, just a story is that I had a music professor tell me, "You did A work. I'm only giving you a B, and you shouldn't be in music." I'm like, I wish he could see me now, because I've traveled all over the world, played with a whole bunch of people, and I'm still playing. So I just have to do it. I needed it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's just one of those things. I needed to play, and nothing was going to stop me ever.
Mm-hmm.
Can I pause for a moment here and just say, if you are listening and you're teaching music, don't ever say that to a musician.
Exactly.
Oh
That was
my
horrible.
goodness, I can't believe they said that to you.
Horrible.
Well, yeah, well, look, he didn't know who he was dealing with. I mean, for real. Yeah, but that's okay. Maybe he did know. I don't know, but I thought that was, I thought less of him as a teacher, and I've had bad teachers before. A teacher's supposed to encourage. He did not encourage. He attempted, to discourage me, and I showed him.
Well, and I really believe to my core. I really believe to my core that there's no such thing as bad music. There's no such thing as a bad musician. It's just whether you care for that music or you don't. Because artistry is personal taste. And if you have something or you create something that's you're proud of, that you love, that you have an emotional attachment to it, that's good music. And I think that's all that should be required. Oh,
Yep.
that one hurts my heart a little bit. Like, just to hear I'm happy and thankful you said F you to that guy and continued doing music.
Oh, well, like I said, I had no choice. I was already doing it. By the time that guy was around, I'd already been playing for, like 12 or 13 years or something like that. I mean, I was in my, where was I? I was in my like mid-20s or something. So, I'd already been playing for well over 10 years. So I'm like, I'm not listening to that fool. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Wow.
And I must say, like, I don't know, like, there's something about the sound that comes out of you all that is just out of this world that I just like. It's one of those things where, like, you have those unique artists that no one else will ever sound like. And that's what I think of when I hear you all. Like, I geek out sometimes because y'all are just like, oh.
Oh, well.
I appreciate that.
I'm glad you enjoy it. That's what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And then you all have an album coming out soon, right?
It actually came out already. It came out on the 26th.
Came out on the 26th of October.
Of September. Right?
Of September.
September, yeah.
Yeah.
And how long did it take for that one to come about?
Not long, really. If I'm being honest. Not long at all.
Did you all record it in Louisiana?
I did my part in Louisiana. Mr. Linwood did his part in DC.
How was that experience?
Well, it's the modern recording process. I mean, my friends have done this. One guy's on the West Coast, somebody's in Europe, and they do everything through the internet and what have you, or sharing files, that sort of thing. That's it's just technology that allows people to do this right now.
Yeah,
that's so fascinating, though. The idea of like recording an album from two different states and different pieces, and then putting that's incredible.
Well, to me, it's just it's a it's an updated version of where people would record an album and or a song at a different time. I mean, it used to be people all had to be in the same room to record right then and there. But now, ever since they had multi-track, Les Paul came out with multi-tracking, then people can record the same song, record their parts at different times.
Yeah.
Y'all are blowing my mind right now.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the music you grew up with, people, they recorded that at different times.
Yeah.
They weren't all right there in the same room. They're like, one guy did his on Wednesday, another guy came in and did his part, Friday,
Yeah. Yep.
That's the what is the most difficult aspect of recording it that way, though?
Just trying to get in sync with the music that's already been recorded on tape, and every instrument has a different, maybe difficulty part, a difficult part of trying to get their part to be good, that kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure bass player is a little different from me, and the drummer's a little different, and the keyboard and singers, it's all a little different. Everyone's got their thing to try to fit in to what's on the recorded, what's already been recorded, or getting their part to be the foundation of the recording.
Fascinating. Yeah. And so, are you listening to the other pieces in your earpiece and then sort of playing along?
Or in the speakers.
Oh. Okay. So you're having speakers play, so it's almost like you're on stage when you're hearing monitors, and then you're singing along with those monitors or playing along with those. Fascinating.
Or playing along with the record, although you're winding up on that record as you're playing,
Yep.
And how much of a trip is it to have that final product, right? So you've done all this work. Now you have this album release. You listen to it for the first time. What is that feeling like once you have that all wrapped up? Go ahead, Geminii, if you want to do that first.
It's just awesome because in my case, I hear it from its infancy. When it's just the keyboards or just the, whatever. I hear it from that stage, and then to finally get the end product after after everything's been done and mixed properly and mastered and whatnot, it's pretty awesome. I'm in awe of people who have that gift to put those things together like that, because I think it's a gift. All those stages in between, the instrumentation is a gift, to be able to play an instrument well enough to be able to sync up with something that was already in place, and then it's a gift to be able to have the ear to mix it to where it sounds the way it's supposed to sound, and then the ear to master it so it sounds the way it's supposed to sound. I think that I'm just in awe of people that have that gift. Like I say, I'm the smallest link in the chain.
For me, it's just that's the thrill of doing the whole thing and of the whole recording process. To hear the finished product, it's like and get you to tap your foot or even get up off your chair and start shaking around.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the real thrill of it all to me.
And then was there intentionality around releasing a studio album as opposed to a bunch of singles? Because I know some music is going in that direction of nobody's releasing full length albums before. So I always appreciate artists that continue to give us albums as opposed to a collection of singles. So was there a lot of intention behind the musicality of the album that sort of, because one of my biggest, one of the things I love most is when an artist intentionally puts out an album that tells a story along the entire album. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I do. I understand what you're saying. So I think with this album, there's not a story per se, but we knew we wanted to reach back and play a more traditional blues sounding album, or create a more traditional blues sounding album. Because our previous albums, kind of run the gamut between blues and rock and blues rock, that kind of stuff. But that's what we wanted to do. That's the glue that holds the songs together. That intention.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, you know something, way back in the day, an album, I say way back, like when I was a baby, it's like every albums were a collection of singles. That's what an album was. And then, as Beatles and other people, rock people started getting together, and the Temptations and Marvin Gaye and everybody, they started putting an album together as a whole story, a collection of songs that were, connected in some way, shape, or form, which is that's how that started happening. As music got a little more free and artistic, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. That's just my thought. Now people can do an album of songs that have a connection or theme, and sometimes it's different. I don't know.
And I again, I think there's no right answer. It's just whatever that preference is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then one of the things I'm curious about too is when we're talking about sort of sound, and Geminii and I talked about it before you got here, was just how important it is for the sound quality at a venue. From a guitarist's perspective, is there something that you wish that every venue could have that would help you as a musician perform live on stage?
Oh, good monitors. I would say good monitors, but I just wish, I just wish the rooms would. How could I put it? I don't know. I just wish the rooms would have a good stage and a good stage sound. If that some places do, some places don't. Some places it's difficult to get a good sound, and well, I don't know. A good a good PA system always helps, But then again, some people, some people just, I'm sorry, they just play too loud, and they have no sense of dynamic, And dynamics is the key, but it's not. That's on the musician, not the venue. I just wish sometimes they could have a room that would be tuned. A room can be tuned, for sound, and I wish some places would do that, but that's okay.
At the same time, though, because I think it's important, because I want venues to hear these kind of things from artists, because that doesn't only help the artist, that also helps the venue.
Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
And
it's a two-way street.
And you talked a little bit about volume and dynamics. And so, how much attention do you pay to volume in terms of your performances?
Me or Geminii?
You. Geminii had already sort of talked about it a little bit.
Okay. Look, I try to get my sound at a civilized volume. And what that means is my sound is the sound of an amplifier wide open, because I come from that. But I realize you can't do that, and in every place. So I try to adjust my sound. But the thing I've learned over my course of performing and playing is that the loudest guy that I ever played with on stage was also the quietest. And that person was Albert Collins, the Iceman. And he was the loudest, and he was also the quietest.
What do you mean when you say he was the quietest?
In other words, he'd bring it down to a whisper, but he was also as loud as any rock band I ever played with. Yeah. I mean, but he had dynamics. And what I learned from him was, you can only be that loud, so many times before the audience goes, numb to what you're doing. So the volume has no power any longer. It's just noise. But if you have it up, the volume go up and down, it's kind of like, your ears get a break and you can hear, but then when it gets loud, it's like, it's very powerful, and then it doesn't stay there. It comes back down again,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I appreciate you say that, because like one of the most amazing shows I've seen in recent memory was Johnny Wheels and the Swamp Donkeys. And it was an instance where in the middle of the song, Johnny he stuck up his hands and he's like, we're going quiet. And so every musician, even the drummer, turned the decibels way down to where they were like barely even tapping on the drums. And so everything but his voice was so quiet. And then he built it out this really low note, and then everybody crescendoed back up. And you could tell collectively, like the hair on the back of our neck stood up as an audience. And so like I can relate to your statements so much, because it's like it just changes the dynamics of a song.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And for me, for me as a musician and performer, that's simply a technique, and it's like there are techniques, sort of like a gymnast, a gymnast has these requirements and moves that have to be performed when they're doing their thing, their routine. To me, this is just part of it. It's part of the technique,
Yep.
It's just like, when you're doing a club venue where people are dancing, that's one set that you're going to do. Then when you're doing a concert, well, now you've got another set that you have to perform. It's just a different vibe for each one.
And then, so Geminii, in terms of like your performance and sort of like getting ready, do you have a set level of like musical exercises or sounds that you make before you get on stage as sort of like a warm up?
Yes, I'm a stickler for warming up. Yes. So I went to school. For vocal performance, and for a long time I didn't get anything. I just didn't get it. I did a show in Kansas. Where was it? Knuckleheads? I think it's Knuckleheads. Wherever Knuckleheads is. I went on stage, feeling wonderful, and I opened my mouth to sing, and I got to the climax of the song, and nothing came out. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" So after that experience, I make sure I'm warming up. I try to do different vocal leads to strengthen my voice. Throughout, if not every day, at least a couple times a week. Yes, I'm a stickler for that, because that was the worst experience on stage, and just nothing's coming out. Like, what the? And then you keep trying because you're already there. So yes.
And then when that happens, do you have to like adjust on the fly in terms of like what songs you can belt out, or like, oh, my voice can't hit that high note, so maybe we change to this song instead of that song?
Well, not necessarily the song. You could do that. When I had that experience, I just adjusted how I was singing the song. Because you can still have, you still can evoke emotion without having to hit all kind of high notes. You still can get the same reaction doing it a different way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then in terms of like the guitar, right? One of the things I love asking guitarists is, what do you do if you ever break a string on stage?
I keep playing, and it depends on what kind of guitar I'm playing. And I rarely break strings any longer, because I change my strings frequently, and frankly, I transferred some techniques that I used for my voice to my guitar playing in terms of not straining. So, but I change my strings frequently. I keep them in tune, not set up properly, that kind of thing. And but if it's like a Gibson, I just keep playing. If it's a Fender, depending on what kind it is, well, I just have to change in the middle of the song.
Is that because of a different kind of string between the guitars, or just like certain guitars can cover up a sound more than others?
No, it has to do with the strings tend to be stable on a Gibson, in so much as if one breaks, there's no change in the tension and translated the tuning of the other strings. On a Fender, if a string breaks, then the tension changes on the remaining strings, and you're just out of tune. It's like there's no recovery from that. Very few guitar players can recover from that. I've seen a couple do that, but I'm not one of them.
Right?
Oh. You learn something new every day.
Well,
That's cool. Every day. That's pretty cool.
And we've been on this for just about an hour now. So where's the best place for people to find your music?
So I want to send everybody to Bandcamp because, as we know, streaming pays diddly squat. So we have music on the streaming platforms. This newest album is not, and it's not going to be on there. So Bandcamp is where you can go. You can purchase it, digital or physical copy of the song. Or even better yet, come to a show and buy it directly from me.
Amen.
And where are you guys playing in the near future?
All right. I'm never prepared for this answer. I know we have shows lined up. I know we're going to be at Shane Hall in January. I can get the exact date. We need people to come to that. Let's see. That's going to be January. Yeah, he got it. 17. That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but there's more dates building up around that date. And after, yeah.
And then you said at Bandcamp, right? So looking up Geminii Dragon on Bandcamp.
Yep, GeminiiDragon.bandcamp.com. Yep, and I'm a little bit behind with it. But if you go to Facebook, the events are going to show the shows that we're going to be at. You can catch that information like that.
And I also want to make sure people are aware that Geminii is spelled a little differently.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So it's Geminii, right?
Exactly. For the twins.
Yeah. So, and the recent album, is that Louisiana?
It's called Moonlight Moving and Grooving.
Moonlight Moving and Grooming.
Grooving. Like dancing.
Perfect. And then what we'll do too is as we wrap up, if you all send me one of a WAV file of your music, I can add that to the end of our interview.
All right.
So
that won't be a problem at all.
All right.
So what would you tell people? So we'll end the conversation with this because I'm always curious about musicians' viewpoints. What would you tell somebody who is thinking about getting started in music, but have some reservations about it because of whatever limitations they might have?
You want to go first?
I think nowadays, I would say make sure that if that's what you want to do, that's what your focus is on, and don't let anything distract you from it. Because that was my problem. I let relationships distract me. I got married, had kids. It's hard to do it with all of that extra stuff. But if you want to do it and you want to be extremely successful at it, make that your focus and let go of any other distractions. Drugs, alcohol, just focus on the music and let that be your drug, you know.
I would have to second that. Yeah, don't let anyone or anything stop you, tell you different, because I am an example of that. People telling me, no, you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that, blah, 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 blah. I just tune them out and focus on what I needed to make my life happy for me. And that's all I can say. Don't let anyone or anything stop you.
Thank you so much, Linwood Geminii. I can't thank you enough. And your music is so good. And I'm so glad that you were able to tell me that it was on Bandcamp. But here I have been waiting for streaming platforms to see your new album. But now that I know where it is, it's already on my list. You all are amazing musicians, and I wish nothing but the best for you all. And I'm going to end this podcast the way I always end this podcast. Be kind, people. We're all on the same planet. We're breathing the same air. And this world would just be a better place if we treated each other with dignity and respect.
Amen.
Yes.
Geminii, Linwood, thank you so much.
Thank you.